Hello and welcome to our training presentation on the use of the Mark II Lyndon Safety step. We've successfully used the Mark I step for several years, and the Mark II step was developed building on that experience and from the comments received from our scaffolders when using the Mark I. So, why do we have to have a safety step at all? What's it for, and why do we have to use it? At work, we have to comply with the work at height regulations, and the current guidance produced by our trade body, NASC, the National Access and Scaffolding Confederation, SG4, SG4U. The work at height regs introduced a hierarchy of protection when working at height, and we have to use collective protection before relying on personal protection such as fall arrest equipment. This means we have to use fall prevention before fall arrest. Essentially, it's much better not to fall in the first place than have the fall stopped, often painfully, by a harness. In some locations, such as confined and restricted areas, and for scaffolds like drop lifts and cantilevers, and for some operations like moving boards, use of the step may be difficult or inappropriate. In these situations, fall arrest techniques will be necessary to help install the single guardrail and to provide protection in areas where collective protection is not possible, and that's why safety harnesses must be worn at all time at work. There are various other bits and pieces of collective protection kit on the market, but we believe this is the simplest and the safest available. What's it for? Best practice in our industry is for fall prevention before fall arrest. We have to use collective protection wherever we can, so you're protected from falling as you erect the next lift above. This training program will show how the Mark II step lets you erect and dismantle safely, protected by a permanent guardrail which itself becomes part of the finished scaffold. It doesn't require lots of separate components like some advanced guardrail systems. It simply uses the scaffold structure itself to form the guardrail. This is the Mark II step. As you can see, it differs considerably from the Mark I, with a new ladder section with adjustable legs, which makes access to the step platform much easier, and it now can be used anywhere on the scaffold platform and not just at a standard. It's made from aluminium with an anti-slip platform. It's tested and certificated to make sure it will stand up to tough site conditions when in daily use. Before use, you have to carry out a pre-use inspection and make sure it's not damaged and safe to use. Your supervisor will carry out a recorded inspection every 3 months. This presentation shows how easy the step is to use and that while doing so you are protected from falling. So, how do we use the Mark II Lyndon Safety step? How do we erect a scaffold safely using this kit? The scaffs are erecting the first lift using safety step. Braces and transoms are fitted and the scaffold is made stable and structurally sound. The lad's now clipped to the back ledger before climbing the ladder section to the step platform as an additional precaution against falling outwards from the scaffold. We're now at the point from which the whole safety step idea evolved, the need to access the lift above's guardrail fixing points without exposing the scaffs to the risk of falling from the non-guardrailed lift. This overcomes the usual fall arrest thought path of, where do I clip on? No need. The previously fixed ledger now acts as the guardrail, for prevention before fall arrest. The scaffolders work together and pass the materials up to fix the top guardrail on the lift above. The guardrail fittings positions are marked off and the fittings are tightened and the guardrail tube passed up. The two lads work together using 2 safety steps. The guardrail is wrapped off and the process is repeated for stop ends and, if necessary, a rear guardrail. There is no potential for men or materials to fall or be dropped outside the scaffold structure, as is possible with some advanced guardrails. The scaffs climb down the ladder section, unclip and remove the steps, which are then moved to a safe position so not as to create a tripping hazard. The guardrail is now in place and the scaffolders continue to erect the scaffold and the boards are put in place from below. An internal ladder access is installed to give access to the already guardrailed lift above. As the lads climb the ladder and go onto the platform, they are protected by the single guardrail, so there is no need to clip on. Anywhere it's not possible to use safety step, fall arrest techniques are used to progressively install the single guardrail, and that's why harnesses are worn at all times when working. Note, we do not use the unprotected, exposed traverse technique. We are either behind a guardrail or are clipped on. Ties and bracing are progressively installed as erection continues. The erection process is repeated for the working lift and the intermediate guardrails and the toe boards are fitted. To dismantle the scaffold, the procedure is simply reversed. So, that's the Mark II Lyndon Safety step. No head scratching where to clip on, and no temptation to take a chance not to. No need to install and remove complex additional advanced guardrails. Simple, effective, and above all safe. We believe the Mark II step is a further significant contribution to scaffolder safety by greatly reducing the potential to fall while erecting or dismantling scaffolding. So, here's a quick recap on the Mark II step working procedure. Working from the protected lift, the ledgers go on and the lift is made stable. The safety step is positioned and, as an additional precaution, the lads clip to the back ledger. Fix the guardrail for the above lift and repeat for stop ends and the rear guardrail if required. Remove the safety step and continue, as the guardrail for the lift above is already in place. What could be simpler and safer? The Mark II step is a great improvement over the Mark I, which itself was a major advance in scaffolder safety. Use of the step is our mandatory, everyday default method of working and must be used when and wherever possible. If you have any questions or comments on the Mark II Lyndon Safety step, please discuss them with your supervisor or manager at the end of this presentation. Thanks for watching.